Our next honoree of the evening is receiving the Social Justice Visionary Award, and that is Connie Chung Joe. She is being recognized for her work as an unwavering champion for civil rights and justice, serving as a vital pillar of the Asian and AAPI community. Here to introduce Connie are the President and CEO and Vice Chair of the Pacific American Fish Company, Peter and Jihee Huh, who have led this company to become a global seafood leader and international company. Please enjoy the following video about Connie.
She is doing the kind of work that no one else is doing. She's fighting for democracy. She's fighting for equality. She's fighting against racism. There is no more important time than now for her work to be not only recognized, but broadened and supported by all of us.
Vincent Chin would be alive today if he were not Asian.
I want justice for Vincent. I want justice for my son.
If you look at the history of America, 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act, incarceration of 120,000 Japanese Americans during World War II, the killing of Vincent Chin in 1982. The fact of the matter is, when America feels threatened, whether by disease, economic competition, or foreign threat, often this country turns to Asian Americans and blames us for what's happening. It is something called the forever foreigner myth. It's because we will never look truly American to the eyes of many people in this country, even though they and their ancestors have been here for generations. When you look at Asian Americans, there are some true heroes, American patriots, American leaders who are investing and bettering our country. You think of someone like Brandon Say, who disarmed the Monterey Park Lunar New Year mass shooter.
A firearm, I was not only fearing for myself, but for my community members. And that gave me the strength to approach the gunman, ready to disarm him.
He is a true American hero. AJSOCAL was founded in 1983. Our founder, Stuart Kuo, founded the organization under its original name, Asian Pacific American Legal Center. The organization has now grown to be the nation's largest Asian American and Pacific Islander civil rights and legal service organization. We have nearly 100 staff in Los Angeles, Orange County, and Sacramento who serve more than 16,000 clients a year.
Connie, I am so proud of you. I'm just thrilled that you're getting this award and recognition, and I'm sending you a lot of love.
Good evening. My name is Jihee Huh, and I am so proud to be here for Connie this evening. When Connie Chung was born on a military base in New Orleans to Korean American immigrant parents, they gave her the name Connie, after Connie Chung, the one and only Asian American faces they saw on television at that time. It was a hope, a prayer, that their daughter would grow up in a world with more opportunity, more belonging, and more justice. Tonight, standing here in this incredible room filled with leaders from all walks of life, we see that hope fulfilled. And we honor the extraordinary woman who has turned it into action for so many. Connie's life has been a journey for breaking barriers, not for herself alone, but for the entire community. As a civil rights attorney, she defended tenants facing discrimination and fought against racial profiling. As a nonprofit leader, she built organizations that gave immigrant families the tools to heal, thrive, and dream bigger. And now, as the CEO of Asian American Advancing Justice, Southern California, Connie has led the nation's largest AAPI legal and civil rights organization, standing on the front lines against hate, fighting for dignity, and forging new paths for equity. Her work is not only courageous, it's visionary.
Well, you get both of us whenever she invited us. Anyway, I had the privilege of working with Connie for past 5 years. I've been on the board of AJSOCAL for quite a while. And she is definitely a fearless, but one of the kindest person I have ever met. Connie recognizes that justice is not about changing laws, but it's about changing lives. It is about creating a future where every child, no matter the language they speak at home or the color of their skin, feels they truly belong. At times when Asian American communities have faced fear, uncertainty, and loss, Connie has been a voice of strength, clarity, and compassion. She reminds us that leadership is not about speaking the loudest, it's about lifting others up. She assumed leadership during one of the most difficult moments in recent history. Connie has helped redefine what it means to be lead in the fight for social justice. Her story reminds us that true leadership is not about titles. It's not about being the loudest. It's about standing up when it's the hardest. It is about building a better future, not just for some, but for all. Tonight, we are proud to introduce Connie Chung as Asia Society 2025 Social Justice Visionary. Her light inspires all of us to imagine more of just and compassionate and inclusive society, and then to do the work to make it real. Please join us in celebrating the true bridge builder, the tireless advocate, and an extraordinary visionary, Ms. Connie Chung Joe.
Thank you, Peter and Jihee, for that introduction. And thank you so much for all the support and leadership you've shown to me and to our AAPI communities. I, too, feel like I'm getting old, so I'm going to turn on my light here. I'm so honored to stand here today as a social justice visionary, as I see social justice being so under attack at this moment. When I came to AJSOCAL in August 2020, it was the height of the lockdown. Just a few months earlier, we had the murder of George Floyd, and through the Black Lives Matter movement, we as a country were having a public reckoning around systemic racism in our society. And critical to part of that racial reckoning was the attacks on our Asian American community. Because we, as Asian Americans, were feeling terrorized, not just by the global pandemic that was taking the lives of millions of us in this country, but we are fearful about being attacked on the streets by people around us. Because during the pandemic, 1 out of 3 Asian Americans experienced a hate incident or hate crime because of their race. The silver lining of the pandemic was that it helped galvanize us. We finally felt seen. There was a public acknowledgement that Asian Americans were a community of color, that we were experiencing racism, and the country needed to stand by us. And now we are facing a different kind of attack. 2 weeks ago, 2 of the local community-based organizations that I work with received termination notices from the U.S. Department of Justice for their grants. They were in the middle of a multi-year anti-Asian hate prevention and education grant. And this was suddenly terminated and the funds were gone because, quote, This award is being terminated because it no longer effectuates the program goals or agency priorities. They are, of course, not alone, as we're seeing hundreds of millions of dollars being taken away from nonprofits all over this country, including those who provide basic safety support like medical care, housing, and mental health for our AAPI communities. So for those of us who dare to speak out and say we want to protect the progress around racial justice in this country, and we want to protect our AAPI communities, it feels sometimes like our very existence is currently under attack. And for our immigrant communities, it has been particularly devastating to see how we are being vilified, detained, and deported. AJSOCAL is the largest AAPI legal service provider in this country, and immigration is our largest body of work. 30 years ago, our organization freed 72 Thai nationals who were enslaved in a sweatshop in El Monte, California. And at that time, the government said those individuals are illegal and they need to go back to Thailand. And it was with the courage of our founder, Stuart Quo, and our litigation, Julie Su, who would later become Biden's acting Secretary of Labor, who would say, no, we will fight for them to stay in this country. Because these were victims of human trafficking in the first case of modern-day slavery in America. And it was through our work and advocacy that they were allowed to stay, that we created new laws like the T visa to protect human trafficking victims, and many of them are citizens today. Today, we're seeing airplanes filled with hundreds of Asian immigrants who are Chinese, Indian, Nepalese, who are being flown to third-party countries like Panama and Costa Rica as they're being deported. Southeast Asians from Vietnam and Cambodia who have been living in the United States for up to 50 years now are being detained every day. Domestic violence victims can't file for immigration relief that would give them more protection from their abusers because our immigration system right now is too volatile. We are continuously, as an organization, conducting Know Your Rights trainings and community education because even for those with green cards and other forms of legal status, you need to know what are your individual constitutional rights right now in this country. And be prepared because we've seen far too many devastating outcomes for too many Asian immigrants, including those who are here with immigration status. This should infuriate all of us because nearly 6 out of 10 Asian Americans are foreign-born, which means the majority of us are ourselves immigrants or we belong to immigrant households. Immigration is an Asian American issue. But there is hope. I see more people standing up for our immigrant communities and our communities of color every day. Each of us needs to speak up and call for change through our personal spheres of influence. Whether that's preserving that AAPI affinity group or the LGBTQ+ employee resource group at your company. Whether that's contacting your local elected to call for more humane immigration policies, or making investments like the cause of Asia Society today. Even when you donate to a mainstream organization or your alma mater, be sure to ask them as you give them that check. How many Asian Americans are on your board, by the way? What's your diversity and inclusion policies again? You can still hand them that check, but I guarantee they will remember you asked them that question, and they will remember that as an Asian American donor, your identity as an Asian American matters. It's wonderful that we can gather together here today as Asian Americans and celebrate our culture and our achievements, but I want us to remember that we must use our power and influence to help those in our community who cannot fight for themselves. The road ahead will be challenging, and the more vulnerable members of our community need us more than ever. So thank you for this award, and to remind us that we cannot take justice for granted, and we must continue to fight. Thank you.